All right, y'all, we are back for another episode of We Are the Ones podcast. I'm so excited about today's episode. We're going to have a really good conversation.
Yeah.
I want to thank y'all again for tuning in. This is the podcast where we have extraordinary conversations with extraordinary people doing extraordinary things.
Absolutely.
And today is absolutely no exception. We have the queen herself. Queen, my sister, my girl.
Or as Adriana say, her.
Ladies and gentlemen, her. We got my girl in here. But before we get into the introduction with her. Avi, how's everything going?
Everything's going good. I'm so excited about the student loan forgiveness that's going on.
Yes. Talk about it.
Oh, my goodness. That's so necessary and so needed. But I do have private loans, so that is what it is. Yeah. But at least for my federal loans, we're knocking them out. So.
Listen, that little 20,000. I'm not gonna say little 20. Let me not, because I'm grateful for whatever little, relief that I can get.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I was just being irresponsible over the years, and
it's okay. We all go through it.
Caught up to me.
Because they will not forget your Social Security number.
Will not.
That's for sure.
They will absolutely not. So
they're gonna be on you for sure.
I'm just, but shout out to Uncle Joe, man, for.
Is he Uncle Joe now? I didn't know.
Look, he just forgave a part of my student loans. He Uncle Joe today. So, but no, man, just for anybody who hasn't, if y'all went to school, got student loans, I got to make sure y'all fill out the application. It takes about 60 seconds.
It's nothing. I was so shocked by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was shocked.
Yeah, so we want to make sure that y'all do that. But other than that, how's everything else?
Everything else is good.
Yeah, the Bills won. That game was incredible yesterday.
What about them boys,
man.
I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. I'm so glad that we redeemed ourselves with that one, especially because we wasn't even at home. Remember, we saw nothing but red in that stadium.
Yeah, Bills Mafia is usually all over the place.
I know.
All over the country. But,
I know, but there was a lot of red in that stadium.
But we still pulled out that W, though. We still pulled it out. So that was a great win. Next week, we got the bye week, so we can just kind of chill for a little bit.
Breathe for a little bit. Yeah.
So, but no, man, today, again, I'm super, super, uber excited to have one of my best friends, my sister. Like, we are forever linked.
Connected. Absolutely.
We are forever connected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Tatted.
Yeah, because we got the tats to prove it, So this woman really needs no introduction. She is a modern day abolitionist. She's a freedom fighter.
Absolutely.
She's a social justice activist.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's just everything. I mean, I had the opportunity to have a life-changing experience because of her.
Right.
Because of her.
Yeah.
When we took part in the Freedom Walk that happened last year, when we walked 902 miles from Virginia to Buffalo. This is the visionary behind it, so.
Visionary and doer. And how some visionaries just give you the vision but she's the visionary and doer.
Nah, she is absolutely amazing, and she's such a good time.
Her crawl in the inside. I forgot she doesn't like to. She doesn't like stuff like this.
Well, you about to get it today. You get it all today, Kelly, because we love you, we appreciate you, and we absolutely are giving you your flowers. I'm speaking of none other than my good friend, my sister, Miss Diane Galloway. Galloway, what's going on, Kelly?
What's up?
My name is Kelly, and I'm 5'4".
That's my rap. My name is Kelly, and I'm 5'3", and I'm sitting in this podcast with my family.
Hey, come on. Ding, 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 ding.
Somebody sign me.
Come on, man. Somebody signed her right away.
Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Just went up.
Book
Yesterday's price.
Yeah.
Nah, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Thank you for inviting me.
No, when we talk about, people who are, your shirt says it, with the generational wealth, but we talk about people who are really changing the trajectory of their family and their future families and things like that. you epitomize that. You know, I mean, you have a story, and we want to kind of dive into a little bit of your story.
Wow.
You know,
Absolutely.
But you've come a long way to get to where you are today, the things that you're doing in your career and really your life's calling, right?
Yeah.
So, well, we want to talk about that. So, but again, thank you for coming on.
Thank y'all for having me. I'm excited.
Nah, we're excited to have
We the
you.
ones. What's up?
Come on. We the ones we've been waiting for, man.
Listen.
Here we are. Okay, so Kelly, we're gonna. Okay, so what we usually do is we dive into the mindset, we dive into your story, and then at the end we talk about exactly what it is you do.
Okay.
All right. So talk a little bit about yourself. Born and raised in Buffalo.
Absolutely.
Okay, and what side of Buffalo? What school you went to? Let's talk about all that.
Okay, so my entire family basically grew up in this one house called 64 Halbert. You might have had your own addresses, but we have a matriarch in our family. So in my family, we still function off of that like kind of big mama system. And I'm named after her. That's Aunt Diane. And so it doesn't matter whose kids you are, if you blood or you not, you probably lived at 64 Halbert at one point. And so that's a part of Buffalo that we call Central Park. And so my family, that's where we from. We're from Central Park. And I went to the same school from pre-K all the way to 8th grade. That was Campus West. This school is not open anymore, but that was a phenomenal school. It really was. And my educational experience there really was transformative, and I even honor those educators and programs that I've developed now. And then I did my high school at the best high school in the whole city of Buffalo.
Come on.
Tech High School.
Hey.
We ain't gonna get into that.
Yeah,
We're not.
Listen. And so, but what I can say is that I may not have at that time lived up to what a Tectonian was supposed to represent. I always tell people this, and it's not that I'm proud of it, but it is a testament that it ain't how you start, but it's how you finish. I've always been brilliant. I've always been a genius. Period.
Come on.
But I was also a survivor of gun violence, and so when Mikey was killed January 5th, 1998, biologically that's my cousin, Aunt Diane's son, but because we all live in the same house, that's why I call him my brother. When he was killed, I was grieving. And I became angry. I was fighting. I was getting in trouble, getting arrested, all those different things.
Was your life like that beforehand?
Nah, I was like a regular kid. I got in regular trouble.
Oh, okay.
Like,
Okay.
I got in regular trouble. Like, I didn't even get in trouble for, like, if I wasn't allowed to, like, be off the porch, I didn't go off the porch. I didn't, like, I just got in regular trouble, like, oh, she's talking too much in class.
Okay.
But nothing, like, violent.
Yeah.
Nothing, like, it was pretty bad. And when I graduated from high school, I don't know how many people were in my graduating class, but I do know that, like, let's say it was 100 people that graduated. It was way more than that. But let's say it was, you got your number ones, your valedictorian, and all those other people. I graduated in 99. The only person that graduated below me was my friend Con Wen, who was like sleep all the time because he was working in like Chinese food stores, which now I'm thinking like, was that legal?
You definitely just said his name. That's cool.
Yeah, well, but that's my homie. I hope what's up, dude. But I mean that's a public record. So, but yeah, so. To graduate at the bottom of my class, to be told by, my friends' parents that, I wasn't nothing, I was never going to be nothing, they ain't want their kids around me, that I was definitely going to be like dead or in jail or pregnant by the age of 16. I think some people gave me like 15. And some people's generous enough to at least give me one more year, 16. But, and then to be where I am today, I don't say any of that to flex on anybody because that was maybe the truth then. But I think that faith overrides facts, and I'm a product of faith. And those facts that were true at that time just don't matter today.
Yeah.
So talk a little bit about your home life. So you grew up with both parents.
Yes, I grew up with two very busy parents. I grew up with, when my mom retired, she retired as the chief at the Buffalo Psychiatric Center. And my dad was about social justice and equality for all. And so he worked in the, what was it called? The Equal Opportunity Development Office. And that was before he moved into politics in the county executive's office. When Jesse Jackson had started like Operation Push, he was the regional president for that.
Wow.
I grew up in my church with Reverend Dr. Bennett W. Smith, who marched alongside Dr. King and was super active in social justice. Like, I grew up in a family that was extremely pro-Black and pro-education, also pro-discipline, you know, but they were busy. But I had a village. You know, my mom has, like, 12 siblings. My dad as well has a lot of siblings. And so, like, my village raised me, not just my parents.
Yeah. How was that relationship with your parents coming up?
Before Mikey died, I think it was great, and then after that, I was so angry. I remember it was like one point, like I stabbed both my parents because I was so they were disciplining me, and I was so angry and so filled with rage, and you know, I mean, it got bad. It got really, really bad, and that's how I ended up going to Harlem and spending some time with Jackie Stover Stitz, who is my godmother, before she opened this coffee shop right here in Buffalo with Larry Stitt. And again, it was my village activated and really instrumental in saving my life, I think. And but everywhere you look, people loved me, whether you was my aunt, whether you was my cousin, whether you was my sibling, my godparent. Because of everything I went through, I needed a village. Yeah. I needed a village. And so when it comes to like who is responsible for Kelly Diane Galloway, other than God, it's a lot of people to name.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest blessing that my parents gave me growing up is they gave me the freedom to explore who I wanted to be, you know, and what I wanted to do. Like, I remember the kids in my neighborhood, before Mikey died, the kids in my neighborhood, they was failing. They were failing in school. So my parents let me turn one of the rooms in our attic into a tutoring center. So I opened up my first tutoring center when I was 7.
Wow.
You know?
Talk about ambitious.
You know, like, so I opened my first tutoring center, and then I got real into like science. I wanted to be a mineralogist. So my parents bought me science kits, and I turned another room in my parents' attic into a science lab. Then I wanted to do music. So my parents put me in community music school. I was classically trained on piano and got me equipment so I could record karaoke machines, microphones, guitars. And I formed me a little group with me, Felicia, and Lynette, and we called ourselves PYT. My name was K-Dog. Our first single was Romeo, dedicated to Romeo in the group. In the group. And he's my Romeo, yeah. And I did my own editing, and I did my own mixing. And so I had, so upstairs, so like my bedroom now was my music studio. Okay. My closet now was my testing and tutoring room. And then my spare bedroom up there was, that was my science lab. And then, of course, we had the bathroom. And then, but whatever it was I wanted to do, they made space for it. Mm-hmm. And if it was something I didn't know how to do, they activated the village.
That's so interesting, because with your parents being so busy, they were still able to still cater and see the gifts in you and still give you those opportunities to groom it.
Cook that dinner every day. Like, you know, except for Fridays. We have fish fry on Fridays. Like, is that a Buffalo thing? Fish fry Fridays.
I think so, yeah. I've never heard of it anywhere
We have fish
else.
fries every Friday. Fish fries every Friday.
Beer batter, was it?
No.
Just making sure.
No.
I don't do that beer batter.
Fish fries every Friday and fried clams. And then on Saturdays, we had homemade French fries with chicken gizzards. And on Sunday, those was big dinners. Yeah.
Chicken gizzards.
With Frank's hot sauce, yeah.
Yeah. That just sounds amazing. I've never had a gizzard before, but
I've never had a gizzard before.
But I've had our family cooking, so I know all of it's good.
That's true.
You know,
that's true.
So I grew with ambitious parents who literally, they loved me, and they realized that at some points in my life that it was probably some areas that they couldn't fulfill. And so, like I said, like they created space for other people to also step in. Like, they didn't. I feel like sometimes when you know you can't do something, I feel like some parents' egos kick in. Mm-hmm. And so they just like, well, this is my kid. Can't nobody, but my mom was just like, I can't help her right now. Mm. you know.
That's
And
good.
so, and I remember it was one time, like I said, something smart to my mom. She called all her sisters to the house. They was like, "Yo, what's up?"
They pulled up on you.
They all pulled up on me.
It's like Aunt
You
Viv and
ain't
all her
talking to my
sisters.
sister like that. But you know what I'm saying? But I knew.
But you straighten up quick, didn't you?
Yeah, but you know, but that's the power of a village. So a village raised me.
That's good.
What was that turning point, you know, and then the relationship with your parents? Because obviously you said after your cousin died, you know, there was a lot of hostility, you know, that started to build up within you. You know, you had some situations, altercations that occurred with your parents. But because you and your parents are super close right now.
Yeah, they're my best friends.
I love that relationship with
My
y'all.
parents are my best friends, and like some people be like, "Man, you're not mad your parents sent you to New York City and stuff like that." I'm like, "Nah," because it helped me. Like at the end of the day, they just wanted to help me. They wanted, but we didn't know what the issue was. Nobody knew. I didn't even know what the issue was.
Did you ever find out what that issue was?
Once I was like 21, once I was in college, and one of my friends, Brittany, she was like, "Kelly, like something's wrong with you." I was like, "What?" She was like, "It's not normal. Like you don't have emotions. Like you don't cry. You don't you just blah." And she was like, "You need to pray about that." And I started praying about it, and I got therapy, and I realized that I was grieving. I was grieving, and then that opened up a whole different can of worms. But then I met somebody, her name is Reese. I call her Auntie Reese Napper, and she taught me how to go through grief in a good way. And so, like, she has a program called Good Grief. So we all grieve something, but like, grief don't have to last forever. And I think even right now, like in this age of like mental health, taking breaks and all this stuff, I think some of it make us a little weaker than, like, I think some of it make us weak. Like it doesn't give us the space to be as resilient as we're called to be. And so you make, well, I need time, but like something bad can happen to you, right? But it don't have to keep you down for 25 years.
Yeah.
Like you're more resilient than that. And so you gotta tap into that power that exists on the inside of you that gives you the opportunity to stand up in hard situations. Like I think sometimes being hurt and staying hurt is easy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Versus, because like you got to actually fight with yourself to say, you know what, like I'm not, like you could cry, just don't quit.
Yeah.
Like I just made up in my mind, like I refuse to die like this, and so I changed my life, but I didn't know that something was for real wrong with me. So I was like 21, and then like with my parents, when that relationship changed. I went to New York City, right, the last time. Because I got sent there more than once. You know, like, they're like, you know, but anyway, I met Tyshawn Bradley. I met my little high school sweetheart. And I was tripping. My mom sent me away. I was like, oh, no, he's too fine to be in Buffalo without me. And I was like, Mom, I want to be good. I want to come back. And I was good. I ain't fight no more until after graduation. Yeah. I wanted to be with Ty.
Wow.
And so I straightened up.
So love made you straighten up.
Well, thank you, Ty.
Yeah. He in jail. He not gonna hear this. I'm gonna tell him about it though.
Shout out to Ty, man. You know, hold it down. Hold your head, bro. Hold your head, man.
So I have a question. During that time where you were acting out of your grief, not knowing it was grief, the friends that you've gotten during that time, do you think it was that you connected with them through hurt, or did you connect with them because you saw good in them and wanted to actually emulate that?
That's a good question. It's not hurt, because all my friends still my friends.
Yeah, right.
So like they were all good people. I think it was a good side of me. You know, like that. And I always been solid 10 toes to the ground.
Yeah.
So like, and they are solid 10 toes to the ground. I think like we just connected on just being kids and having fun and finding your people and loving each other. And I think that it was a side of me that fit in at Hutch Tech, because like that was like a real studious population. Yeah. But then it was also a side of me that was outside of school. Like, you know, I just had to be one person there, but every so often that side outside, that Central Park side, would creep into Hutch Tech. You know what I'm saying? And I remember one of my friends, was just like, you don't belong here. And I remember my homeboy was just like, man, you a Bennett girl. I was like, what does that mean?
Oh my God.
What does that mean?
How that make you
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Jamil must be a Bennett graduate. No, I'm just but at that time, can we admit that at that time, Bennett had got a little rough. Y'all had metal detectors, y'all had fights, y'all had a lot of stuff going on. And I probably did.
I made it.
I probably belonged there for a little bit, but like at the end of the
you
day,
would accept that you were open arms.
Yeah, but I think like just at the end of the day, I just think that God knew that I was going to need the people that I was going to meet there in my life later, and I tried to do what was right. But again, in your mind as a child, you do not process things logically.
Right.
All you know is I feel disrespected.
And you got to
do something about it.
And so like I know now that that's not the way. And then I knew then, okay, well I can't do this in front of these people. You know, and so like, and I think it was a part of me that just, I wanted to fit in. Like they was doing fun stuff. Like my grades was not, because I wasn't so focused in school. I was really, really focused on in the streets and what was happening out there. That like it was affecting my grades. I didn't get bad grades because I wasn't smart enough. I got bad grades because I wasn't even turning in school and work.
Right.
I didn't want to wear a book bag because I felt like it didn't match my outfit. You know, like, you know, I just went to school like if attendance dictated grades, I would have been a straight A student. Yeah. Oh, but you mean you want me to actually do this work? Nah. And so like I think that like I just remember like specifically the one person that stands out to me in high school is Joanna Johnson. Wow. Because I'm just like, yo, like this girl, she was in all the clubs that I wanted to be in, and she had good grades, and she was so unapologetically black.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, it was.
But I couldn't focus enough outside of school to do that schoolwork. And so, like, it would be clubs that I would join, and then the teacher advisor would come and be like, your grades don't work.
Wow.
Your grades don't match. And so I was just like, so I think at one point, I just like, this world ain't meant for me. This world ain't meant for me. And so, like, I just completely turned to a different lifestyle. But in order to stay at my parents' house, I still had to go to school every day. They ain't say I had to do good.
That's interesting. So do you feel as if you stayed in those clubs that something would have happened or changed for you if you stayed in little communities like that?
No, I needed healing. I needed for my heart to be healed. So it was nothing. I remember I was the only black girl in chess club at Hutch Tech killing everybody because I had been playing chess since I was a little kid. I was a part of the St. John Baptist Church Chess Club. One of the black chess clubs, they took us all around the country playing. I was rated, you know, like in a national magazine, you know, and so like I know they was happy when they found out, like, dag, she can't be in this club because of her grades. But I remember the teacher over that club, like, coming to me like, yo, can some of the students tutor you? Because they really wanted me to be a part of the club.
Right.
But it was over. I was just, like, once they told me I couldn't do it, I just gave up. I was like, it was just all these things that was telling me that I didn't belong in this world. Yeah. In that world. Not alive, but I just didn't belong in that studious world. But, I made up. I'm just happy that I got out of Buffalo because once I got out of Buffalo, that's when I feel like my life really changed.
Yeah, let's get into Liberty because Liberty, I mean, that is like your turning point right there. So what's the thing about Liberty that really started to change your mindset? Was it you were seeing something different or you had different people around you? Like, what was it?
I made a promise to my dad. I promised my dad the day before he drove me to college. I said, Dad, I promise you that I'm not going to get in no fights. I promise you that I'm not going to bring no man home that don't love me as much or more than you do. And I promise you I'm going to stay out of trouble and I'm going to make you proud. And I remember this one girl, my freshman year, like I actually did get in a fight, but it really, honest to God, wasn't my fault. And Like, the girl hit me. She did. Like, to me, I would have never even fought her in Buffalo because she was so little. You know, I'm only 5'3". So if I'm calling somebody little, she was little. But, like, she was, like, one of them girls from D.C. She, like, young this, young that. Like, young. You know what I'm saying? But, I mean, she was such a troublemaker that they ended up kicking her out. And so, like, you know, like, the girl hit me. I hit her, and she fell on the ground. And, like, my instinct was, like, Kelly, stomp her out. And I remembered that promise to my dad. And I called my dad, and I just walked away. Like, I hit that girl one time, and I walked away, went down the hall, because this happened in the dorm, called my dad with my cousin Ebony on the three-way, and I was crying. I was like, Dad, I'm sorry. I got in a fight. I feel like I'm about to cry. And so I was like, Dad, it wasn't my fault. I didn't want to do that. And so he was like, well, Kelly, we're going to pray about it. Like, you're not going to get kicked out. You know what I'm saying? And so that girl ended up getting arrested and kicked out the next day for, like, stealing somebody's credit card information. Wow. So, and then, like, after that, you know, I went to a large white Christian college, and they played a lot of white Christian music. And so I was just sitting there. We had, like, they called it convocation. We went every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I remember listening to the music, like, okay, like, all right, Kelly, you changing. You supposed to be changing your life here. Okay. And then I just remember, like, being so bored, but, you know, I was like, but I was walking the straight and narrow. And then all of a sudden, I left the computer lab one day, and I heard gospel music.
That was it for you.
I heard gospel music,
that was it.
y'all.
Absolutely.
It was like, I was like, why is it in a gospel music playing so loud in an academic building? And I just followed the sound. I followed the music, and that's when I met now Bishop Younger.
Yeah.
And ever since then, that was in 2004, the end of my first semester, my first year of college in 2004. 2005, we started a church, and my life transformed. And we just celebrated 18 years.
That's
this year.
Congratulations,
And so
Kelly.
we got churches all over the world, helping plant all over the United States, all over the world. And honestly, that was the start. And I love that. I think the ramp is like even the definition for my personal life. Like, a ramp by definition is a platform that leads from one level to the next. We always should be going up.
Yeah.
And then also, like, I rate MP, like, reaching as many possible. So I just think my life is I think I'm here to reach as many possible, and to help people on the ramps that are in their lives. Like, I've been doing this since I was 7.
That's true.
Yeah, you have.
That's true.
So, like, the work that I feel like I'm doing I'm not new to this. I'm not new to it. Period.
I hear that. Listen, that's amazing. So let's transition a little bit, right? Because you found yourself in college, right? You know, and, you know, your faith really started to direct your life in the direction that you should be going in. And, you know, but then you started, you know, to get into, you know, some of what we talked about earlier, which is your life's calling and the work that you're doing now. So talk a little bit about, like, how you made that transition from, like, what was that thing inside of you that made you, like, you know what, I want to commit my life to doing this type of work. I know you said your parents, they were big social justice activists, and they were really big in that space, but what was it that made you make that transition going from, I mean, you know, for the lack of better words, you were a troubled kid almost, right? And then you changed your life, and then now you just completely committed your life to, like, you know, giving of yourself and helping other people. So kind of talk about that.
Okay, so let me be clear. All them fights and stuff I was getting in when I was younger, those was not my fights. I had a select few of people that I wanted to fight on behalf of me that I did after I graduated high school. All of those other fights was because I was defending or called to the defense of other people.
Wow.
I've been fighting for other people.
Right.
And I was getting in trouble for it then. And I'm willing to still get in trouble for it now. It's just I'm doing it in a different way.
Right.
And so, like, I've always had fire on the inside of me. And so I just had to learn how to tame that fire, because if I didn't, I would burn everything around me up. And so I think that's where wisdom comes in. You can be gifted and you can be talented. You can have so many things going for you, but if you are not wise, you will fumble, stumble, and lose everything because you didn't steward it. Right. Wisdom is the guardian of stewardship. If you're going to steward opportunities, if you're going to steward relationships, you have to operate in wisdom. And so that me going to Virginia was me learning and gaining wisdom. And so when I was sitting there watching a Redbox, honest to God, I was watching Redbox with Darrell.
Shout out to my boy.
Shout out to my boy Darrell. He just had a little baby, a little son. Whoop, whoop.
My God.
Taken. I honestly, I just thought that it was an incredible film. I just thought it was a genius film. Yeah. Like the storyline, even if it was highly unrealistic, it still was a good film. It was entertaining, and that is what you want to do when you watch films. But at the end of it, when the credits came on and said that human trafficking was really a thing, I was offended.
Wow.
I was offended that there are people out there. I was offended and still misguided. I was offended that people out there thought that they could just do that to people because they wanted to. I was misguided to think that it only happened overseas. So when people say, well, what led you overseas? But I believe that God allowed me to be blinded at that time. Because if I just thought that it only happened, that it happened here as well, I probably would have found more domestic works and I probably would have never went overseas. But going overseas reignited that fighter back in me because my fight or flight instincts had to kick in. My ability to survive had to kick in. My ability to be able to adjust to food and temperatures and clothing and cultures that I'm not accustomed to, and still have the opportunity and the space in my heart and mind to appreciate it and respect it. That had to be birthed and developed and cultivated in me in my international travels and my international living. And when I came back to the United States, after learning that even in my hometown, the work that I was establishing in all these other countries did not even exist here, it prepared me and gave me thick enough skin to be able to do it. So when people look and say, oh, Kelly, like, how long have you consistently been in the United States? Well, it's 4 years, 2 of them are COVID years. And they're like, well, you did all this in 4 years. Yeah, because when I was living overseas, like, I believe that whatever that muscle is that allows people to actually work, I did more work than I did talking. And I think that's what be slowing people progress up. They be wanting to be great, but you talk too much. You want to be great, but you want to sleep too much. You want to be great, but you want to party, you want to drink, you want to spend your money. Like, honest to God, like when I first started Project Mona's House, like any bit of money that I got, like, I put it straight into my vision. People didn't see me outside. I didn't have all the nice stuff. I didn't even have a car. I was Ubering or riding my bike and taking the train and bus places, you know? And so like when you really want something, like you gotta work more than you just like are distracted.
Yeah.
And so I think that those are the things that were cultivated in me that helped transition me from just doing local work into international work. And that's why I can say without a shadow of a doubt, without lying, without fronting, that hashtag my reach is global. Because I worked.
Yeah, that's a fact. No, you really did. I mean, you've been putting in the work for a while.
18 years, apparently.
Yeah.
Longer than that. Since you was 7 years old.
Since I was 7.
You know, that's about 18 years.
Yeah.
No, but that's just absolutely incredible. And to see, and the one thing that I'm so grateful for, especially about the relationship that I have with you, Kelly, is that I get to see this greatness like firsthand. You know,
and
like,
the craziness.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes.
Because I be going crazy sometimes, y'all. Like, so people be like, oh, she always level-headed. No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
I mean, but it doesn't. I think for the type of work that you have committed yourself to, and the type of work that you do, just as an entrepreneur, you're not supposed to be level-headed.
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? There are going to be times when you're just ready just to kind of go off the deep end. I mean, it's literally an emotional roller coaster. Yeah. You know, when you talk about doing the type of work that you're doing right now.
Can I introduce you a developing thought?
That's absolutely.
I'm not done developing it. Okay. So y'all are getting the first rough draft of
it.
Like, I'm a Bills fan. Period.
Okay.
Been a Bills fan since I could only remember being a Bills fan since kindergarten. I have no prior memory prior to that.
Yeah.
But every Sunday or every Monday, every time the Bills play, I get in arguments with Bills fans.
Why?
Every single time. And I could prove it, and I got receipts. If y'all go on the Bills Facebook page, every single time they win. It would be different if it was the opposing team, but these are Bills fans. And I'm going to incorporate this in some of my leadership training. I don't know exactly how yet, but check this out. Every single time they win or lose, we only lost once, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I say, go Bills, we winning the Super Bowl.
Absolutely.
Bills fans, they be like, don't count your chickens yet. Don't jinx us. Don't. I don't want them people on my team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Those people do not belong on your team. We either gonna go for it or we not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are boat people, and I'm a water walker.
Mm-hmm.
So there's such an element of faith
She's dropping
in the work that I do. Like people like Jamil is a freedom walker. We ain't had no money.
Nah, we did.
We did not have money. I'm like, how are we gonna feed these people?
Man.
How are we gonna have gas? Where we gonna stay? But I'm a water walker. And so where the numbers don't add up, my faith has to make up for that.
And it sure does, Kelly, every time.
And so at the end of the day, like, you're not gonna outwork me. You're not gonna outbelieve me. You know what I'm saying? So if I want to get on the Bills page every single week and I'm still going to do it and say we're winning the Super Bowl, I'm going to speak exactly what I want to see.
Yes.
Right.
Some people wait by the sidelines, and those are not the people you could build
Absolutely.
with. Those are not the people that you're going to change the world with. Scary people do not make history. Mm-hmm. And I'm just not a scary person. And I ain't never been scary. And I think that's why God chose to use me in this way. And so, like, even when it comes to, like, the work that we do around the world, they like, yo, you scared? You going by yourself? And no, I'm not scared, because even if I die, what y'all gonna say at my funeral? Mm-hmm. Except for that she died empty. Mm-hmm. That she did what she was on the earth to do. I ain't scared to die for that. You know? So, like, I'm just like, man, like, why can't we, what's that quote that people say, like, what would your life look like if you feared nothing?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to find out.
That's a scary thing for a lot of people.
It is.
That's a scary thing for a lot of people.
Social media makes it scarier because we haven't learned how to fail well. Mm-hmm. Like, you gonna fail, but you could still fail well. You could fail well when the only way you fail well is after you fail, you get back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then also not being afraid to say, yo, I got to start over. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This don't work. Let me scratch it. Let me start over. Like, right now, I got something that's in the works right now. People already know about it. I'm just like, should I scratch it, God? Should I scratch it for right now? Because, again, it's about wisdom. Mm-hmm. And you don't have nothing to prove to nobody. Mm-hmm. And so, like, social media sometimes make you feel like, yo, I got to flex. I got to do this. I got to do that. Right. No, you don't. You can sit down and be quiet sometimes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I had to learn that. Because I kind of got caught up in the hype a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. You know, feel like that I had to have that face on all the time, right? That I was out there, you know, I was getting the love, the accolades, all that type of stuff, and it's just like, and I felt like that I had to live up to a certain image, you know, because of this feeling that I got. It's that dopamine, right? You know, and when I realized that the things that I was losing in life were far more greater than all of the other stuff, all of that fake validation that I was getting online, that's when I had a complete radical shift in my thinking. Yeah. Like, you know what? I can't continue to operate like this. Yeah. I gotta give my life and everything that I'm doing, everything who I am, everything and who I'm called to be. Like, I have to live it for the people who who really mean something, you know, and not just the
people you assign to.
Yeah, right.
Like I forgot on TikTok, it was that girl that had all the millions of followers, and so she had a pop up something, and ain't nobody come.
Yep, I remember that.
That's crazy.
Millions of followers.
That's crazy.
No, not one person showed up.
But yeah, I mean, but we find that because of this space that we live in now, where it's that instant gratification that we're constantly going after, right? People often get so caught up in these vanity metrics, and again, when you realize that at the end of the day, that stuff, it doesn't really mean anything. Like, because I was, you know, for me, I was getting all of the accolades, I was getting the recognitions, and I was miserable.
Yeah,
I was absolutely miserable.
Yeah,
you know, because I'm just like I'm not sharing it with the people that I want to share.
But
with.
I'm happy that you said that word, dopamine. I did a study on screen time and how it affects children, and the linkages between that and children being diagnosed with ADD, ADHD, and children being overly medicated. And the thing is, like, we don't really realize it, but like many of us are addicts for dopamine. That's scrolling and seeing something new, dopamine. Scrolling, seeing something new, dopamine. And so that's why when you put your phone down and you don't even mean to open up social media, but your phone, your finger, it's just because now you formed an addiction. An addiction that brings about a real chemical reaction in your body that satisfies your pleasure seekers. And so, like, I think that people are addicted to that. So what you do is you turn somebody with pure intentions at one point into performers. And so then so you have to break the addiction.
How do people break it?
I mean, I'm a spiritual person, so I can only do that. Like, for me, like 2020, I just got off social media, period. That whole summer, I left Buffalo. I went down to Virginia. I ran a camp for kids, and I was off social media the whole entire summer. I ain't post. I didn't announce that I was leaving or nothing. And then even in my church, we get off social media and everything at least for 1 week. Yeah. And then, like, because it's just like a reality. I think that people should create boundaries for yourself. You know when you're doing too much, especially if you got an Apple phone, it breaks down your screen time.
Yeah, that's facts.
So you know when you're doing something, you ain't got no business doing it. So, like, my thing right now is I love Netflix, but I also need to lose weight. So I had my people bring up my exercise bike, and the only way I can watch Netflix is if I'm on that bike. So I ain't been on that. I ain't been on Netflix as much as I want to. But what it does is it makes me more conscious, because why? Like, I want to make films, so that's my excuse that I tell myself. But really, like, that's overindulging in something that's not bettering me. Yeah. And so, like, now I could attach it to something that really is better in my life and can help me in the areas of longevity and health and wellness. And so now I'm just like, dag, all right, Kelly, this movie is 1:33. This movie is an hour and 33 minutes. You got it in you.
On that bike for that long?
Yeah, that's how I burnt my hair off this weekend. Listening to Anita Baker on the bike.
Don't be
got in the zone.
Don't
burnt my little waves off. Now I gotta grow my hair back.
Her whole life this weekend.
Yeah, like, listen, I'm telling you. But listen, I love Anita Baker, and we not breaking up, so it's over. I'm gonna turn it on. I might get lost again. How you listen to a music artist zone out so bad you end up in Canada?
That's what.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, Kelly. Only you, my love. Only you. Kelly, what is something, if anything, what's something that keeps you up at night? Oh, man. Money. Really just money. Because it's people that I want to give jobs to. It's work that I want to do. And so I'm trying to get to the bag. And then I got to realize that as a black woman, I don't care what nobody say. It's not one person in all of Western New York that's more qualified to work with human trafficking victims than me.
That's a fact. And we had this conversation before, too.
It's not one it's not one person.
Yeah.
You could put 10 people together in Western New York, and they still not, all of them together still not more qualified than me.
That's a fact.
We had this conversation because I remember, we were talking about some other organizations that were out here.
And they get money.
They get crazy money.
But they get money, but
and they're not doing a fraction of the work that she's doing.
But I got to prove that I know what I'm doing.
I know.
And so, like, to me, like, these are white-led organizations. And obviously I'm a black-led organization, and I gotta constantly prove. But I think that's pretty much it. Like I be really sleeping. Like sometimes, like when
I'm glad you're getting sleep, Kelly.
I be knocked out.
Yeah, now you definitely be knocked out because you was knocked out the other night. I'm just like, yo, I'm texting Kelly. We was at an event the other night. I'm like, Kelly's supposed to be at the table with us, sitting next to me, and I'm just like, Kelly, where you at? You know.
Did I answer right away?
No.
Hey, I was knocked out. But let me tell you something. This is the reason why. Like. It's back to them boundaries. I do not work in my bedroom. I do not work in my house.
Okay.
That's good.
So like the thing is, when my eyes see the bed, all I could think about is sleep.
Okay.
And so I sleep. And so, but if I was being kept up at night, it would be like, oh, I want to help more people, or I should do this. But then, well, how can I do that? Oh, you need money. Okay, because I know a lot of people. Well, you need to know a lot of people that's going to actually come up off that bread. So it's just like I think that's the only thing. Like the root of it is maybe the root of it is more networking. Maybe the root of it is some other things. But like, I think that's it. Like, but. This is one other thing that I have that I'm working on is that I travel a lot and my parents are older, and it is so sometimes I dread leaving because I'm like, man, are my parents gonna be okay? Like, what if I'm like somewhere I don't have no internet, no electricity? And so, like, that's why I don't be gone for, like, 6 and 8 months like I used to be. Like, I'll be like, all right, I'm going to India for 2 weeks. I'll be right back. Then 3 weeks later, I got to go back to India. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be like, it'll be stuff like that because, when I was away, I just see my parents aging.
Yeah.
I see them aging. And overall, they're healthy, but it's just like, I want to be close to them. At this age, and my mom and dad like, girl, if you don't get away from here and go live your life, my mom,
they be living their life.
Yeah, they sure do. They be out.
They outside.
They was at the event before me.
They the ones over there was like, yeah, she's still at home sleeping. I'm just like.
But even they know, like, if I say I'm tired, then they know, like, yeah, she's tired.
She's tired. Okay. like
Like that day, it was just like, I couldn't, even when I talked to you, I was like, yo, I need a nap, or I'm not gonna be no good to nobody. And like it was one of them days. So like, yeah.
So that's why your schedule changed, because I did notice that. I'm like, Kelly's not gone for like a month or two no more. You really don't do that no more. But your kids, so let's transition, because I really want to have the audience hear everything that you do, Kelly.
Oh God.
Everything that you do. So you have kids. You have your babies. I just love when I see you in the attire and when you speak to them. Oh my goodness.
India.
Yes, I love your kids out there. So talk about what you do outside of the States, and then we'll draw back home and talk about what you do here.
So one thing that I noticed is that like kids grow up. So especially when I first started doing this work internationally, I'm like, oh my God, I want to move to India because I want to stay with my kids all the time. But then here you are 10 years later, and they going to college, they going to university. In India, they get married younger. Oh, so it's just like, I'm like, oh, so we all ain't going to stay on that orphanage? Oh, like, y'all got to really live your life. Okay. And so it's just like constantly being what you would, I guess our parents would consider empty nesters over and over and over again. But we instill gratitude. So they come back and say thank you and we love you and keep you updated and follow you online, call you 1,000,000 times. And, and so like, I think like that work, I feel like the work that I do in other countries is really solid because of the fact that like, before I try to do anything, before I pass out one meal, before I do anything, you learn the culture, learn the language, dress how they dress, eat what they eat, and then actually understand their struggles from their perspective. Because I mean, think about it, like people come into our communities all the time and they feel like they got answers for us, and you don't.
Absolutely,
you don't. Who did you talk to?
Right.
Candace Owens don't represent me. Sorry, I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah, please, don't even bleep that name out.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but the thing is, like, you learn, because I'm not ignorant enough to think that like the struggles that the families that I live with are the struggles that the families in the villages live with. Because we got running water in this house, but over there in those huts, They don't have running water.
Right.
And they struggle, and they're drinking water from 300-year-old wells or 200-year-old water filtration systems that have now rusted. And so now they're drinking water that it also has rust. So now that whole community has stomach issues, but really they're poisoned. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like realizing that the issues that plague Cold Spring, it may not still be the same issues that plague Bailey.
Right.
You know? And so I think that's why we have to bring people together. And so like that's my method when I'm going to different places to that I feel like I'm called to and to serve in. And so I have a couple more countries that we want to go into before I hang up my traveling hat. If that is going to happen, I don't know. But you know, like I'm single and I don't have children, but that is something I desire. So unless I find somebody that's cool with that and also wants to do that, then I probably won't travel as often, you know? And so like, but I'm gonna still do it until that time comes. So I'm not gonna slow down.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
your team is awesome though.
I mean,
Oh
my
my
team is
goodness.
girl. So
Your
I didn't
team
know,
is-
but you know what? I underestimated everybody until it came time until I lost my passport. The first time.
The first
Oh, yeah, I'm about to say, which time?
I mean, cause
Yeah, when I lost my passport the first time, and I was sending you, Jamil, to the airport, and all these other people, we had 40 people waiting for me in Guatemala City because we was working in the garbage dumps in Guatemala. Well, I ain't get my passport in time, so they had to go. When I got there, do you know them people had served? They had did everything. There was like my team, my actual team, the people that from Guatemala and my actual team, they was on it. And so I'm just like, yo, I'm a dope leader. 'Cause, no, for real, leaders create other leaders.
absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
and leaders should have enough integrity to have people trust them enough to follow. Because if you're a leader, ain't nobody following you. You just taking a walk.
Yeah, and you're not a leader at that point.
You're not a leader,
Absolutely.
but a leader knows how to delegate and create other leaders. And so I didn't even know it, but I was doing it all them years. So really, in some countries, I don't even have to go back. They got it.
Yeah.
And so that made me cry because I was just like, not cry because y'all don't need me no more, but like, yo, I really did this with the help of God. Like I really did it.
Yeah.
And I was proud of myself.
So how many orphanages do you have in
We
other
have one in
countries?
India, one in Nepal. We have a school in Pakistan. In Brazil, we have a building. We don't house anybody in that building. But we're having social services, schools, church, and a plethora of other community service, and that's next to a favela. A favela is a very poor community. Like we call it the projects, but take projects and make it like 10 times worse.
Oh my God.
And so, and they all literally live on top of each other. And then when the rain comes, some of the favelas fall in the water.
Jeez.
And so, and then also Guatemala, we have a place in this town called Fray Bartolomé de las Casas, which is 9 hours away from Guatemala City, where we work in the garbage dumps.
Wow. I love what you said too. Just kind of giving perspective about, what the projects, so to speak, over there look like, and oftentimes I tell people we need to put things into perspective when we are looking at our own challenges and things that we got going on over here, because it's always somebody else who has things that's going on 10 times worse. And, you get a chance to experience that firsthand and see that, so does it make
I want
you...
to challenge us in that thought though.
Okay.
Is it worse or is it different?
I think I don't think it's necessarily worse. I think it might be, it's a different type.
A different type of worse.
Yeah, it's a different type of worse, right? Because, what I'm going through and what I'm experiencing here, that's still my reality. That's my truth. And for me, it just feels just as painful as horrible as somebody else who's dealing with it somewhere 10 times worse somewhere else, right? So, but yeah, but it's a different type of, like you said, it's a different type of worse.
Yeah, because I feel like maybe not having, like, the children's homes are full like that because they lack human rights. like at the end of it, it's like a disregard for life of people in a certain caste system.
Okay.
And over here, you got to have a conversation with Sire one day because he's black.
Right.
And he can't go out there and do all the other stuff that other people do. So where they might not be able to comprehend that, like, y'all have to prepare y'all kids because y'all black to be killed to protect themselves against police. They may not understand that. And then now you got parents doing drills with their parents because it may be an active shooter in their school one day.
Right.
Other countries cannot understand that concept.
Right.
Because weapons are not as easily accessible there than here. So it's all worse, but it's a different kind of worse. And so, like, I love the fact that our organization not only works overseas, but we work here at home too in this nation. Because I know we send billions and billions of dollars to Ukraine when people don't even have clean drinking water right here in the United States. They turn in their faucets and it's black.
Yep.
Brown and black, man.
And then I don't remember the year that Flint happened, but the fact that they still don't have clean drinking water, those are issues that I face in other countries.
Right.
You know, and so, like, I think that my point in saying that is we all gotta fight all around the world, and if you call to a specific fight, then fight. Don't be no chump. But you just do it, because I don't care what you do. If you're called to do this and you're doing everything except for this, you still gonna feel empty. I don't care what it is, because it's gonna be some part of you that some potential in you that's just untapped and it's not manifested. And so, like, that's where I feel like people turn to other things. It could be relationships, it could be drugs, it could be bad habits. It's because they're not fully walking in their own potential and maximizing their full potential. And so, like, whether your fight is in Ethiopia or whether your fight is in the south side of Chicago or the east side of Buffalo, like, fight your fight.
Yeah.
Fight your good fight.
Yeah.
Get in some good trouble.
Yeah.
Like I was before Mikey died. Regular trouble.
Kelly, we're going to ask you just one more question, because I know, so she has a human trafficking one-on-one event to do tonight.
Yeah.
So last question, Kelly, tell our audience a little bit about Project Mona's House, what your vision is for the next 5 years. And yes.
And part two to that is, because you got a lot going on with the human trafficking work that you're doing. You know, you're into, social activism now. What's next? What's next for you? So do all of that. All of that real quick, because I know you
That's the hard part.
Okay.
Let's go
we're going to get to the hard part too.
Ambiance.
Think about it while you're answering the question.
Multitask. So I opened up Buffalo, Western New York's first and only restoration home for women who've been victimized by human trafficking. We provide a plethora of different services, though. So the eyes don't see what the brain doesn't know. So I work really hard to educate people on what is human trafficking, how to spot it, how to stop it, and how to join the fight. My main fight right now is getting into the schools. Why? Because when we first started, these women were 40s, 30s, upper 20s. They are now 18, 19, 20 years old. Last weekend, I was up all night with a 17-year-old. You understand? And so that part. Then you have the Free Them Center, which is our drop-in center, where women could come on Mondays and Wednesdays, chill during the day. We got groups, we have classes, workforce development, all those different things. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have girls grades 3 through 12. We call that our Young Women's Empowerment Academy. The reason why people are like, well, why she work with girls? Because how do you save women? You save women who are part of vulnerable populations by going into those vulnerable populations and empowering the girls, so that they never become a part of that population. Right. And so if we know that girls who are in foster care, girls who are runaways, are more susceptible, or minority students, or people in the LGBTQ plus population, then we have to actively seek them. I do that off of a model that that I call living water. Everybody needs water to survive. However, living water says, listen, I know you need water to survive, but I'm not going to wait around for you to come get it. I'm going to bring it to you. So that's why I have the girls program. And then on the flip side of that, then is activism and legislation, challenging our lawmakers to make laws that are inclusive of all people. It should be no reason why Piper Lewis, a girl out in Iowa that was raped by a 37-year-old man, who kept her hostage for weeks and weeks and weeks, was facing life in prison, but now is sentenced to 5 years in probation after serving 2 years in juvenile detention, and has to pay $150,000 in restitution to the rapist's family because she killed her rapist. That paid her trafficker to keep her for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. It should be no reason why we got stories like Centoya Brown, Delicia Carmichael, Zeffie Trevino, Ajane Small. It should be no reason we got stories like that. So Project Mona's House exists to help those individuals. So then what's next? What's next is, in the next 5 years, I do not plan on being the executive director for Project Mona's House. I plan on getting the bag, securing the bag, hiring people that I know could carry the vision so that I can move into writing legislation that actually matters. What does that mean? Project Mona's House, we waved the banner of freedom, not just for human trafficking victims, but for people, period. Back to the 13th Amendment, we have legalized slavery all over again in the prison system. It should be no reason why you got gentlemen that look like they're about to die, and then when prisoners say, "Oh, well, we're gonna boycott," and then now y'all basically cutting their calorie count down because y'all got to produce office chairs, hand sanitizer. In New York State, when we got all that free
the PPE,
that was made in prisons.
Yeah.
So you get government contracts, privatized prisons where people are making millions of dollars, JPay where you just want to write your family, Securus where you just want to call your family. And these people are benefiting off of the poor because they want to communicate with their family. Some who are wrongfully incarcerated, most who have unfair sentences, and you driving Maseratis, Porsches, Maybachs, and all of this off the backs of poor people, because poverty is also a crime, obviously, in our country. And so what's next for me is I want to make a difference in that area, because I believe in freedom through and through. And so, did I do it?
You did it.
You did it.
You are doing it. You have done it.
Kelly.
And we love you for it, Kelly. I mean, you are making an impact in ways that, my God, that most people just dream that they could be in a space like this. And you do it so gracefully.
Yes.
You know, I love you so much. And you know that. You know I love you to the moon. Like the impact that you've made in my life personally since you've come into my life, I've seen how my life has gotten dramatically better because of the presence of you in my life. So I thank you for that. I thank you just for being who you are and just for the fight and just never giving up. You know, like there's times because this is not easy work by no means, right? And there are times that you don't have to be doing this work, Kelly.
That's a fact.
You don't have to be doing this work, but yet you're doing it and you're doing it at a high level, and we just thank you. You know, all of the flowers that you and all of the recognitions and everything, you're well deserving of everything that comes your way. Absolutely. Right? So we want to continue to just support you, to uplift you. And like again, just to thank you for all the work that you're doing.
Thank you for being the one.
Yeah, you are the one.
Being the one.
Thank you.
You are the one.
Yes.
Thank you.
So before we wrap, how can people, if people want to support you, support Project Mona's House, donate?
Please.
How can they connect with you?
It's simple. Find us on all social media platforms at Project Mona's, MONAS House, or projectmonashouse.com. My personal is just Miss MS Kelly, Kely Diane, Miss Kelly Diane on all platforms as well. And yeah, let's stay connected. Thank y'all for listening. And can I share just the last thought?
Absolutely,
Sure.
please.
The last thought, I think that you can hear from my story that it really doesn't matter how you start, but it's how you finish. And even if you're in the middle of a process, don't be afraid to stop and start over. You have nothing to prove to anybody, because at the end of the day, your only assignment is to die empty. And you can't do that people pleasing. You can't do that from the boat. So pull up your bootstraps and get out the boat and start walking on the water. And God got you the rest of the way. Period.
That's it.
We gonna end it like that.
Yeah, there's no other way to end it.
That's it.
And I was really hoping that you was gonna end on that whole dying empty piece. I love anytime you talk to that, Kelly. Like it moves me. It really does, and I think it moves people to really take inventory on what they're doing in their lives and how they could like really start to die empty.
Yeah, write it down. Write it down. Write down that plan.
Well, on that note, that's it, man. We appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode. Avi, I don't know how people could top this.
I know.
Right,
well, I guess we're going to see you next week.
We're going to see you next week.
Yeah,
next week.
But listen, we appreciate listen, come on, waves. But no, we appreciate everybody for checking in, tuning in to another episode of the podcast. Make sure you follow us on all of the streaming platforms. Anywhere you like to listen to podcasts, we're there. Follow us on YouTube as well. Just search We Are The Ones podcast. You can watch this interview in full. And follow us on all our social media platforms as well. We Are The Ones. So until next time, I'm Jamil.
I'm Avi.
This is it, y'all. We Are The Ones.
Thanks for checking out another episode of We Are The Ones podcast.
Make sure you subscribe and listen to our podcast on any of your favorite streaming platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and even on Audible.
And then make sure you follow us on all of our social media platforms on Facebook and Instagram at We Are The Ones podcast. And make sure you subscribe, like, comment, and share. Because remember, you are not just the one. We are the ones.